Good morning, everyone. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Hello, Sarah. Good morning. How are you doing today? And I see it's Waffle Time's popped in. Hi, Waffle. How are you doing today? How are you doing today, Sarah? I hope you're having a wonderful day. Beans is being extremely loud and vocal today. I don't know why. I don't know what to do about her. Yes, my sweet girl. Come. She's been a little nutty, my little Beans, because it snowed last night in my area. It snowed last night and it freaked her out a little bit, so she's been a little antsy since. Hi, little Bean. Yes, you can sit right here with me. You can sit right here with me if you want to. She won't, but... Alright. So today we're going to start a new story. We're going to be starting a new story that I recently, thought of after going through my memories from the umpteenth time. And I remember this story called Lily's Ghost by Laura Ruby. And I remember how interesting it was as a premise. It's very much a kid's book. Bean, yeah, her name is Bean. Lulu Bean. We call her Beans. She's a sweet little girl. So she is. But... So yeah, I was perusing through my little vault of memories, and I remember this book called Lily's Ghost by Laura Ruby. And I remember it being a funky little story. She's just gonna keep meowing all day. That's just how she's gonna be. And I remember really enjoying the story. I thought it was just a silly, goofy little story about a girl who moves into a family member's home because of some situation, and she finds that the house is haunted and stuff like that. So she basically goes on a mystery. She basically goes on a mystery hunt, even though she doesn't want to. So I remember it being a little kid. It's definitely a kid's book. It's like a young teen, like I guess the ages of 11 to 13 range, like it's intended story range. So it's definitely an easy read, but I don't know. I wanted to share it because it's a funky little story. It's not super long. I think we can read through this in like 1 or 2 streams. So it'd be nice little goofy silly buffer after the drama. Let's just say drama that was the Night Circus. Like, oh my god, the amount of drama in that book. So before we decide to go on to anything else dramatic, I figure we'd have a little goofy, silly, fun time with a fairly easy read. Alright, so let's get into it. Lily's Ghost by Laura Ruby. Oh man, this came out in like 2003. It's an old book. Well, old by book standards. Let's see. Let's get past the table of contents, the dedication. Here we go. I haven't heard about the book. I don't think that book is here where I am. It was a hard to find book for me too. I remember only ever finding it in the library, but anytime I look for it like in a bookstore, I could never find it. But it's one I would read a lot whenever I would go to the library as a kid. So it would be like I said, it's like something that's just been ingrained into memory. There's a couple of books that I've been thinking about a lot recently. Unfortunately, I can't remember most of their titles. I can't remember most of their titles, so I'm trying to remember, and I'm probably going to take a trip to the library this week, see if they still even have those books in stock. It has been a very long time since I actually last read them, so I'm going to see if I can find them. If I can, I will probably purchase a digital copy or a physical copy and read it to the stream. Oh, it's those little treasures, you know? Not all treasure is like silver and gold. Sometimes it's just really old, obscure, and interesting books. Let's see. Boo. The historic city of Cape May, a charming shore village on the tiptoe of New Jersey, is famous for three things: Victorian homes frosted pink and white as the sweetest cakes, sun-washed beaches littered with diamonds, and many befuddled ghosts. Most do not know that they are ghosts. They go about their business, bound for the shore or for their old jobs as tour guides or bank tellers or taffy pullers, yammering peevishly at the living. Sometimes they wander the halls of their grand old houses, wondering why guests bring so much furniture and seem to stay for so long. And then there are those tragic few who understand that their lives have taken an abrupt and brutal turn, and that they are helpless to change it. These are the sad ones, the angry ones, the ones who rattle the pipes and steal the socks, and hide the house keys in the fridge. These are the ones who scuttle under the beds and whisper shush shush in the dark. Understandable same for me? Yeah, exactly. Okay. Of course, not everyone who dies becomes a ghost. Some souls linger on in this strange twilight, while others burst like soap bubbles in the sun, atoms scattering happily, gratefully to the heavens. Who knows what weighs these sad souls to the earth? Who knows what haunts the ghosts? Chapter 1. Just after 6 in the evening, with the January sky glowing through the windows, Lily decided to throw Uncle Max in the closet. It wasn't her painting. It wasn't even her house. But it was a terrible picture. Even her mother thought so. And he was her mother's uncle. "Oh, that awful thing?" her mother had said. "Just ignore it. Don't even look at it." How can you not look at it? In the portrait, Uncle Max was just a little older than Lily, but his color was odd and gray and faded, as if he spent some time in a washing machine. Pinkish lips flashed a thin zipper of teeth, like the wolf in Little Red Riding Hood. The eyes, though. The eyes were the worst. Lily thought that if she had turned off all the lights, the eyes would green up in the dark, like pinwheels in their sockets. If I looked like that, there's no way I'd let anyone paint a picture of me. Lily's mother waved her hand. What does he care? He's dead. For Lily, it was bad enough that she and her mother had been kicked out of the big white house in Montclair, New Jersey, that morning. It was bad enough when they had to call Uncle Wesley, whom Lily's mother hadn't seen in years, and who was the only family they had left, and beg for a place to stay. And it was bad enough that Lily had to endure 4 hours on a cramped and wheezing bus with everything she owned stuffed into duffel bags, while her cat, Julep, howled like a zoo monkey the whole way there. She was not going to spend the next few months in this strange old house staring at some goggled-eyed, fish-faced dead boy. She settled on an empty closet in the hall just past the huge staircase. She set the frame on the closet door, leaning the painting face first against the wall. Good night, Uncle Max, she said, then slammed the door shut. She did not feel any better. Lily shoved her hands into the pockets and stalked into the living room, or the parlor, as her mother had called it. She couldn't help but notice how pretty the room was. All high ceilings and polished floors, and antique chairs with their whimsical animal feet, like the summer home of some duchess. But pretty, Lily thought, was deceiving. Pretty meant look but don't touch. Pretty meant mine but not yours. The front door belched a cranky moan, and her mother's exasperated voice rang out. Yikes, Lily! You didn't even bring the suitcases upstairs yet. I was looking around. It's nice, don't you think? Lily shrugged. If you like museums. Oh, well, don't you worry about me, her mother said. I'll just lug these 400-pound grocery bags all by myself. Lily helped carry the bags into the kitchen and empty the contents on the counter. Where's the milk? Her mother pressed her palms to her temples. It's official. I'm senile. You can always wait until tomorrow morning. I need it for my coffee. You know how I get if I don't have my coffee. Lily's mother tossed a few items she had brought into the refrigerator. I won't bother taking off my coat. You wouldn't believe how cold it is out there. Lily scowled at her mother's orange cape, the loud patchwork skirt peeking out from beneath it. It's January, Mom. It's supposed to be cold, isn't it? I just didn't think it was going to be this cold. You never think it was going to be this cold, Lily said. Or this bad, or this hard, or this long. What are you talking about? Never mind. Her mother wandered into the dining room, and Lily followed. Did I tell you the house had been in our family for more than 100 years? You told me. Lily took in the china cabinet with its belly full of crystals, the chandelier that glittered like a small universe over the table. If this is a summer house, what's the winter house look like? Bigger, more expensive shiny stuff. It's been a long time since we've been there. Was Dad with us? If her mother didn't want to answer a question, she did one of three things. Smiled, shrugged, or pursed her lips as if she were blowing a kiss. Her mother smiled her no-comment smile. Lily sighed. So, is your Uncle Wesley a millionaire or something? Or something, her mother said, laughing. She ran her hand across the surface of the table, the bracelets she had designed herself jingling on her thin arm. I don't think Uncle Wes had changed anything here since you were little. It's been a long time since you were little. Lily inspected the split ends of her long, cinnamon stick hair. She was used to being as tall as her mother, but as tall as an adult. She was 13, but sometimes Lily felt like an adult, the way she imagined an adult would feel. Tired. Disappointed. Her mother sighed. I can see antiques are not our thing. Did you check if we have cable? She marched in the hallway past the stairs and into the TV room, Lily trailing behind. Her mother plucked the remote off the top of the TV and flicked on the machine. More channels than any teenager could hope for, she said. She looked past Lily into the wall. Lily, where's the painting? What painting? Lily made her own eyes big and round, batting her lashes. Uh-huh. So innocent. You know what painting? Her mother pointed to the empty space over the mantel. Oh, that painting. I put it in the closet. Lily! It's bad. You said so yourself. But I didn't say you could take it down. Nothing's gonna happen to it. I'm trying to channel bratty teenager. I'm sorry. It must sound terrible. I'm sorry, it must sound so terrible. I'm sorry, if it's cringe, you're more than welcome to leave. I'm sorry. I'll try to tone it down. Her mother turned off the TV, signed at the unadorned wall. I suppose the closet won't hurt it. That's what I thought, said Lily. Her mother looked from the wall to Lily, Lily to the wall, her expression morphing into her sad clown face. Her I'm sorry face. Lily hoped her mother wouldn't try to hug her. But instead of reaching for Lily, her mother hid her hands in the voluminous folds of the orange cloak. I promise that this is going to be okay, okay? Lily nodded, thinking that she had once heard a bird with a call just like that. A polite bird that asks, okay? Okay? Is it okay if I eat this birdseed? Is it okay if I poop on your head? A thin, faraway mule caught her mother's attention. She pulled her hands out from the folds of her cloak, smoothing her hair from her face. You can't keep the cat in that box forever. We'll be here till June at least. Then we'll get our own place. Maybe even on the beach. How does that sound? It sounded like another one of her mother's fantasies, but it was no use telling her. In the dining room, Lily and her mother found Julep looking small and doomed in her cat carrier. Lily opened the latch. The Siamese stepped out, blinking her blue eyes, poking the air with her wise nose. Lily stroked the cat's silky fur, but Julep did not press her head into the curve of Lily's palm the way she always did. The cat stared at the ceiling. What's up there, Julep? Julep vaulted onto one of the chairs and then onto the table. She padded to the middle of the table and sat beneath the chandelier. Lily's mother leaned a shoulder against the door jab. What's she doing? I don't know. Julep made a strange sound in her throat, a cross between a meow and a moan. Then she rose up on her hind legs and batted at something with a front paw. Oh, that's not too creepy, said her mother. Yikes. Maybe there's a spider, Lily said, though she didn't see any spiders. She scratched at the back of her own neck, where the tiny hairs prickled. I can't even watch. Lily's mother grabbed the cat. She shouldn't be on the table anyway, she said, and tossed her to the floor. Julep turned and skidded out of the dining room, down the hallway and out of sight. Lily looked up at the chandelier. The crystals winked. She's just a little skittish. We're all a little skittish. Her mother clasped both hands over her head and stretched. I'll be right back with the milk, she said, and strode down the hall towards the front door. When she reached the staircase, she turned. You know, it smells exactly the same. Like lemon and tea with mint. She glanced up to the staircase as if expecting someone to appear at the top. Mom? Her mother turned. Yeah? Yeah? How did your Uncle Max die? Lily's mother made her kissy face. Why don't you go upstairs and pick her bedroom? I'll be 15 minutes, tops. Lily watched as the door swung shut, then grabbed as many bags as she could carry and dragged them to the second floor. All of the bedrooms were decorated with jumbles of fussy-looking furniture. Lily chose one for herself by putting her duffels on the floor by the closet. She didn't bother to unpack. She sat on the musty bed, hands knotted on her lap. At the house in Montclair, in the corner of her yellow bedroom, there was a microscope that she had to leave behind. A microscope that her mother's boyfriend, the computer geek, had bought Lily for her birthday. Lily loved to look at things under it. An eyelash, a bit of dust, a mosquito. She unclasped her hands and rubbed the velvet bed cover. Her microscope was gone. Her friends were gone. The yellow room in Montclair, gone. Lily felt the tears welling up in her eyes as she swiped at them, squinting them away. She could hear the wind wailing outside, high and thin and human. Help me, help me. She could smell the faint tang of lemon and tea with mint. She could see Julep crouched beneath the dresser, eyes fluorescent with fear. When the phone rang, Lily pounced on it, realizing after she gulped her ego hellos that there was no one there. Let me have a sip of tea myself. Mint tea is exactly what I have today, and I'm going to have some. Tea is good. But usually tea makes me more sleepy, and coffee gives me the worst kind of stomach aches. I got myself some gamer subs, a kind of energy vitamin powder kind of thing. I want to see if that works for me. I'm not usually an energy drink person, but I did my research into gamer subs, and I figured it would be the best for me to try it safely. And I can't wait to try those. I gotta get myself one of those little shaker bottles, so that way I can drink it properly. Let's see. Lemonade. Just a few blocks away from Uncle Wes's house, on a cold and sandy beach, a balding man with a jelly belly and toothpick legs half sat, half fell on his wife. "Hey!" said his wife. She, as always, wore a polka-dotted swimsuit and a bathing cap blooming with bright and unsettling rubber flowers. "You're crushing me." "How about making some room, then, instead of hogging the whole sheet?" The wife rolled her eyes and moved 2 inches to the left. Husband and wife watched the gray sea curl and unfurl like a tongue. If they did not seem to be bothered by the frigid winter air, it was because they couldn't feel it. "Did you bring the lemonade?" the man said. "No," said the woman. I thought you packed the lemonade." The man shook his head. "Didn't I ask you to bring the lemonade before we got into the car?" "Where is the car?" asked the woman. "Where I left it." "Oh." The woman fluffed her big floppy flowers on her bathing cap. "Where did we leave it?" The man frowned at his wife. "I don't know. All I know is that I want some lemonade." The two had left their car in a ditch 23 years before, after the man swerved to avoid some geese crossing the road. "Shall we see if the concession stand is open yet?" "Oh. Yes." Forget it. Let's just go swimming before the crowd gets here." The woman laughed, pointing at the ocean where numerous heads bobbed in the icy surf. "We're too late." "Darn kids," the man said. They watched as one of them, a girl of about 13 or 14, ran out of the water. She was wearing a woolen dress over pantaloons. "Where do they get these crazy outfits?" "At least she's not walking around half naked like some of those other ones," said the wife, throwing a stern look at another teenager prancing around the beach in a black leotard, fishnet stockings, and a tiny satin skirt. "But that wool dress looks awfully heavy." The girl, who had drowned in 1909, was running up and down the beach in the sodden dress, calling, "Father! Father! Where are you? Father!" The woman's brows furrowed in worry. "Do you think she's lost?" "Looks like," said the man. "Do you think we should help her?" "She'll be fine." The woman harumphed. It was one of her favorite things to do. "Get a load of that guy," said her husband, shaking his head at a caped figure wearing knee breeches and a plumed hat. The woman gestured to a tall fellow in animal skin pants, shells, and feathers making his way down the beach towards them. "And what do you think he's dressed up for?" "Lunatics," said the man. I don't know why they don't lock up all these people where they belong." The man, a Lenape Indian, who had died in a skirmish with the Dutch settlers in 1644, stopped suddenly, gaped at the man and his wife before hurrying off in the opposite direction, his moccasins kicking up sand in stiff sprays as he ran. "Well, what spooked him?" asked the woman indignant. The man looked at his wife's bathing cap, at the rubber flowers sprouting from it like Brussels sprouts. "Beats me." Chapter 2. "Hi, Icy! Welcome. I'm glad you could make it." Chapter 2. The house, shiny and drapey and mossy with doilies, loomed so huge and imposing that for the first week Lily felt like a hamster scratching around in it. And she kept touching things she knew she shouldn't. She wondered how she was going to make herself at home, even for a little while, when she had to keep rubbing her fingerprints off everything. At least there's no boyfriend this time, she consoled herself. Except for the distant uncle in Philadelphia and the dead one in the closet, Lily and her mother were pretty much on their own. It wouldn't stay that way for long. Here's how it always happened. Lily's mother met a man. Her mother and the man would date. Soon, they would make plans. Plans to move. Plans to get married. Plans to start a business. They planned and planned and planned until the plans were so elaborate that the man would get all tangled up in them and forget his part. Finally, the man, whoever he was, would announce that he needed his space and would shuffle away, shaking his head like a cat who landed on his feet after a dizzying fall. Lily knew all this because she was there, sitting at the restaurants or in the movie theaters, playing with her straw wrappers, as her mother and the men cooked up their schemes. The men would try to ask Lily questions when they noticed her. "And what do you like to do?" they asked. They asked this because Lily's mother was an artist, and they assumed Lily was one too. "Science experiments," Lily might answer. Lily's mother explained. "Lily's a bit more practical." Because the men were mostly practical, and mostly terrified that they would be practical for the rest of their lives, their faces were filled with a mixture of pity and disgust, as if her mother had said, "Lily has head lice." The men had no names. Lily referred to them by their occupations: dental man, insurance boy, gearhead, and that traitor, computer geek. Lily wondered what her mother would scare up next. Grocery guy? Fish guts? Clutching a pile of books, Lily eased into one of the high-backed chairs in the parlor. It might have been worth a fortune, but it was about as comfortable as a pile of rocks. She moved into the dining room to try the chairs there. In the window facing her, a shadow flickered, stopping Lily in her tracks. A rubbery-looking white hand popped up and pressed into the glass like a starfish, the fingers stiff as tiny periscopes. Her eyelids shuddered in surprise, and then the hand was gone. Her mother swept down the hall into the room. "Morning!" she sang. Her eyes followed Lily's startled gaze, and she raised an eyebrow. "There was a hand at the window," said Lily, pointing. Somebody's hand reached up and touched the glass outside." Her mother shrugged. "Maybe it was someone waving at you. This is a small town. People are friendly." "What people? Nobody knows we're here." "Except for the man next door," said her mother. They had gotten the house keys from the neighbor, as Uncle Wesley had told them to. Not much taller than Lily, with a large balding head and a wormy body, their neighbor looked like a giant baby in a bad mood. Angry baby man. Lily dropped her books on the dining room table. What kind of person just goes around slapping their greasy hands on people's windows? There are only a few thousand year-round residents at Cape May. Her mother tapped the pile of books. "And I'm sure that most of them and their hands are in school right now." "Uh-huh," said Lily. She was sure the year-round residents, if there were any, were all shut up in their restored Victorians, polishing their antiques and counting their money. Or maybe they all had maids for that kind of thing. Lily's mother rummaged in her coat pockets and in her purse. "Did you see the house keys? I thought I put them in my pocket." Lily's mother paused in her search. "You can still change your mind about school, you know." Lily watched the window for another hand, or maybe a foot or an elbow. "You said I wouldn't have to change schools again. You promised you would homeschool me, Mom." Her mother chewed her lip. "Yes, and I have all the materials. But how are you going to make any friends?" Lily thought of Wendy, her best friend in kindergarten, Susan in the 4th grade, Karen from Montclair. Saying goodbye to them all. "I'll join the local football team." "I'm sure the kids here are very nice. So I'll make friends with the nice kids and then we move to Kentucky or France or whatever." Why would we ever move to Kentucky? We've moved everywhere else. Her mother threw up her hands. "Okay, but just until the end of the year. It's high school in September for you." Arden pulled her bushy hair away from her face and snapped a rubber band around it. 2 blonde curls sprang free and stuck out like antennae. And now I have to go to work. You said the store doesn't open up until March. It doesn't, but I have a lot of planning and cleaning to do. Uncle Wesley had to pull a few strings to get me the assistant manager's position, and the owners are taking his word for it that they can trust me to run things until the summer. I want to get a head start. She jingled her bracelets. Besides, I'm going to make some more just like these. Maybe with shells. Something beachy. What do you think? Lily imagined her mother spending what little money they had left on silver and garnets and paper clips, just so that she could make some of her strange earring shapes like toasters. Or since they were now living on the beach, lobsters. Lobsters on toast. Her mother grabbed the pencil out of Lily's hands and scribbled the telephone number into the notebook. Here's the number for the store, just in case. Arden looked at the stack of books. Homeschooling, huh? Am I asking for trouble or what? She said to the cat, which sat on one of the dining room chairs gazing placidly at the ceiling. Lily pointed. What do you think she sees up there? She's a lovely little thing. She has the brain the size of a fig. Her mother turned out her pockets. And so do I, apparently. Just go, Mom. I'll look for the key later. I'm sure it's around here somewhere. Okay. Her mother slipped on her orange cloak. I'll be home around noon. I want you to strip the beds and put the sheets and towels in the wash. Mom! And I want one chapter in that math book finished. Mom! You were the one who wanted to be homeschooled. Do you think I'd be a pushover? Lily waited until she heard the front door close before she got up and went to the window. She craned her neck in both directions, but there was nothing to see. No shadows, no rubbery hands, not even a squirrel dancing among the sill. It was as if the entire world were fast asleep. Lily finished her math chapter in a couple of hours, stripped the beds, and then dragged all the laundry to the basement. She had expected something dark and dank, but the room was cross-hatched by bright yellow sunbeams that shot through the small high windows. There wasn't much. More fussy furniture, a stack of boxes, a washer and dryer, her mom's old Cupid doll sitting in the chair, its little hands like fat pink stars against its bright red dress. The Cupid doll was one of the few things Lily's mom insisted on dragging from place to place. My mother left it to me, she'd say. I can't get rid of it. Though she always stashed it somewhere no one would see. Lily separates the whites from the colors and stuffs the sheets and towels into the machines, using dish soap for laundry detergent. After flipping on the washer, she kicked the rest of the wash into a pile by the boxes. It couldn't hurt to take a peek into them, she thought, walking over to lift the lid of the closest one. An old desk lamp, a radio, some other junk. She pushed the box aside to get to the next box, a lot heavier than the first. National Geographics, some old, some more recent, almost all with the ocean on the cover. She knelt on the floor and flipped through the magazines, looking for pictures of sharks and squids, and weird-looking fish. There were photos of the Great Barrier Reef in Australia, pretty cool. Poison jellyfish, very cool. And an article about finding the Titanic in the Atlantic. Robert Ballard, the guy who found the Titanic, talked about how he didn't find any skeletons in the wreck because bones dissolve quickly in the deep ocean. That the only thing left of the passengers were their shoes. The sea animals didn't know enough to eat the leather. Lily looked up from the article, imagining rows and rows of shoes, their laces dancing sadly in the purple murk of the ocean. The Cupid watched from its perched, its chubby arms splayed in a plastic imitation of bouncing baby joy. Lily frowned. Weren't the arms down before? She stared, unblinking. The doll's bald head, anointed with a single blonde curl on its crown, with a cast downward, but its huge round eyes peeked sideways from under the lashes, as if it had just noticed her, as if it was amused. Lily gave the doll a hesitant half-wave before she realized what she was doing, and then, feeling tremendously stupid, dropped her hand. Rolling her eyes at herself, Lily went back to the Titanic article. What was interesting was that Guy Ballard didn't try to collect any of the shoes, though even soggy old Oxfords from the Titanic would be worth a ton of money. He felt that the shoes marked a special place and that disturbing them would be wrong. Too many people, the article said, looked at shipwrecks as just another way to get rich rather than a way to learn about ourselves. People thought more of money than they did of history or science. At this, Lily snorted. She thought plenty of science, but how many millions of dollars had it cost to fund scientific expeditions just to find the Titanic? If there wasn't any money, there wasn't much science. She tossed the magazine back into the box, glancing at the Kewpie. Now the head faced squarely forward, and the black irises, which had peeked so cloyingly sweetly out of the corner of its eyes, looked straight at her. Lily's jaw unhinged like a snake's, her lungs suddenly stripped of oxygen. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath, and then opened her eyes again, testing. The doll didn't move. Her breathing slowed. Of course it didn't move. It was a doll. She was just seeing it from different angles, that's all. Lily rubbed her cheeks. First phone calls, then hands, now dolls? What was wrong with her? Leaving Montclair, that's what it was. Well, it was no use thinking about that. She stuck her tongue out at the Kewpie and began packing up the rest of the magazines the way she found them. Lily had been given tons of cheap baby dolls over the years, mostly by her mother's boyfriends. As a little girl, she liked to pull off the arms and legs to see how they were attached, liked to pluck out the eyes to see what they were made of. I don't like dolls, she said, her voice reverberating off the concrete walls. No brains, no guts. A hollow clattering behind her rocked her on her heels, and she wheeled around, gripping the dryer. The Kewpie had somehow tumbled out of the little wooden chair and now sat on the floor, arms up over its head, blunt sausage fingers beseeching, like it wanted to be picked up, like it wanted... Oh, come on, Lily hissed at herself. She forced herself to approach the doll. His dimpled, sickeningly sweet smile seemed like a leer. Go ahead, it said. Pick me up, I dare you. I'll grab you with my sticky baby fingers and I'll... Lily grabbed it by its cold plastic throat and shoved it back into a sitting position on the chair. Then she backed away and walked upstairs, willing herself to step slowly through the dining room and the hallway, casually up the main staircase, though her stomach clenched and her muscles hummed. She went into the bathroom and took a brush from the medicine cabinet. No brains, no guts, no brains, no guts, she muttered to herself, as she gave her long hair a dozen painful, vigorous strokes. Even up in the bathroom, Lily could hear the thrum of the washing machine, and then another noise, quieter, sneaking underneath it. She cocked her head and squinted. There it was again, a creaking sound, thin and faint, like a door opening into another world. Then a muted tap, 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 slow and stealthy, like footsteps, like tiny footsteps. Her eyes flew wide open, brush sliding out of her hand and clattering to the sink. Mom? She said. She hoped. She left the bathroom and slowly walked down the stairs. The front door was shut. She made her way to the dining room and then to the kitchen. Hi, Wasabi! Is this a scary book? Kinda, but not really. It's like PG scary. It's not that bad. It's like childishly scary. It's not really that bad. She left the bathroom and slowly walked down the stairs. The front door was shut. She made her way into the dining room and then into the kitchen. Mom? Mom? No mom. Lily stood still, listening for the creak, for the footsteps, and now all she heard was the dumb drone of the refrigerator. She checked the back door, but it was bolted from the inside. Lily walked back to the front door, opened it, and looked out onto the front porch. She turned her head left and right, scanning the streets, but saw no one but a lone mailman wearing a crazy blue hat with fuzzy antlers, even though Christmas had come and gone. She stepped back inside the house and slammed the door shut, trying to erase from her mind the kooky, freaky images of the Cupid dolls hopscotching around the basement. This is nuts. Hands don't float, dolls don't walk, and life isn't some stupid horror movie. She would put her school books away and watch some soap operas, and then her mother would come home and things would be normal. Well, maybe not normal, but familiar. But her books weren't on the table where she had left them. They were gone. The only thing on the table was Julep, blue eyes blinking. The house key Lily's mother had lost, lying at her tiny brown feet. The phone rang shrilly. Lily snatched up the receiver without thinking, without taking her eyes from the key. "Hello?" she said. A deep-voiced rasp. "Hello, Lily." Lily dropped the phone, scooped the key from the dining room table, and ran out the front door. She raced into the backyard and all the way around the house, moving so fast by the time she saw the tall, skinny boy walking down the sidewalk with his head thrown back, paper towels up his nose, she couldn't stop. She crashed right into him, toppling them both. Weenie Hut Jr. Scary. Exactly, Wasabi. Exactly. How are you doing today, Wasabi? I'm glad to see you. Good to see you. It's Weenie Hut Jr. Scary. It's definitely, like, baby scary. Oh my gosh, sorry, I had to take a stretch. Oh, my shoulder popped and everything. Ooh. Wasabi, it snowed last night. I woke up to a winter wonderland. I am so happy. It's so great. It snowed. But because of how cold it is, every part of me is like stiff as a board. Ugh. Oh, damn arthritis. Ugh. It's a sweating wonderland there. Oh, gross. That's right. It's like summer over there. That's the worst. But summer should be over soon. Your summer should be over soon. It'll get cooler sooner. But yeah, it snowed. I'm like, oh, how pretty. So today it's gonna also keep snowing and being grossly slushy and wet out there. Even at 12 a.m. I need the fan. I got the heat. Yeah. I like a sweaty wonderland. Hi, nice. How are you doing today? And I don't like the summer. I don't like the heat. I like when it's cold. The hot weather is not my friend. I am always like uncomfortable in hot weather. Okay, let's continue. Whatever Lola wants. Lola stomped down the sidewalk in her leotard, fuchsia satin skirt, and stocking feet, shaking the sand from her black character shoes and thinking that this whole death thing was totally bogus. First of all, you had to wear the same outfit every day. Second, there was nothing to do. And third, there was no one to hang out with. "You're supposed to eat your broccoli," she said to the woman in the gag-me bathing cap. "Not glue it to your hat." "I bet your mother doesn't even know what you're wearing," said the woman. "I bet you don't know that you're dead." The woman had clutched at her chest and called Lola a hoodlum. Please. What did people have against a little friendly conversation? This is all Steffi's fault, right down to the frump in the bathing cap. If Steffi hadn't stolen the lead in the school musical, then she wouldn't be stuck wearing this stupid satin skirt for all eternity. She would have starred as Lola, the ultra-mega hottie in Damn Yankees. And she would have been the one that the guys were drooling over instead of being some lame sidekick chorus girl no one noticed. The play was about an old guy who sells his soul to the devil to become a baseball star, but afterward tries to worm out of the deal. The devil sends the lovely Lola to sweeten the offer. Everyone knew that she had that part wrapped up. It was practically written for her. And then Steffi, this plain-as-paper nobody from the science club, shows up at the auditions and wows dorky Mr. Pringle, the director, and ruins everything. The science club. Science geeks can't sing. They don't wear fishnets. She couldn't even remember how it happened, when exactly she died. One minute she was at a cast party, choking down spinach dip, and giving Steffi the evil eye. The next she was sprawled on a darkened stage, dressed in her stupid sidekick satin skirt, surrounded by ghosts, most of them so dull and oblivious that she longed to shoot herself in the head, as pointless as that would be. She figured that it was something she was born with, a weak heart or broken blood vessel or some sort of majorly rare, impossible to detect cancer. Anyway, her death was tragic, and that much she knew. It was always tragic when somebody with her looks and talent and potential was taken so young. She had been destined for greatness. Hadn't her mother said, well, she couldn't remember exactly what her mother had said, or even what her mother looked like, but her mother must have said something wonderful, some wonderful, loving, motherly things. Her father, too. She wondered if she had any brothers or sisters. Whatever Lola wants, she sang. She might be dead, but she still had a killer voice. She was Lola. Even if she hadn't forgotten her real name. Did it begin with a B or maybe a D? She'd call herself Lola just to prove how totally Lola she was. Not like Steffi, the doof, who was just some pathetic geekazoid Lola wannabe. Some guy, a live one, was staggering down the sidewalk with something stuck up his nose. Gross. But Lola plunked herself down the middle of the walk anyway. What did she care? He'd stagger right through her and slip into her shoes. That's when the red-haired girl burst from the Victorian house, right in front of her, ran a crazy lap around her house, then barreled right into the guy. If Lola had possessed a heart, it would have hammered out a mambo beat. Steffi. It was Steffi, she was sure of it. But what did that dipstick do to her hair? It was a long, scraggly wreck, even worse than before. Hadn't she ever heard of a haircut, a perm, an exorcist? And the clothes. Flared jeans? Gag. She looked like a reject from the disco era. Didn't she know it was like 1987 already? Or maybe it was 1988 now. It was kind of hard to keep track. Anyway, the geek needed some serious help. She cracked a wide crocodile smile. Lola was just the girl to help her. Chapter 3. The boy lay motionless on the grass. Hey, are you alright? Lily said. I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Said the boy, mumbled. What? Lily scrambled over to him and saw the blood freckling the front of his green coat, the paper towels he held to his nose. He pulled the bloody wad away from his face. My nose, he honked. It was already broken, and now I think it's sideways, too. Lily leaned closer to inspect his nose. It wasn't pretty. It's a little lumpy, she said, but it's where it's supposed to be. Cool, so it only feels like it's sideways. I said sorry. Lily sat back on her heels. What happened to you? Darren Sharp happened to me, he said, sitting up. He happened to want to try out his blue belt or yellow belt or whatever belt in karate, but I don't think he's good or anything. But don't think he's good or anything. My nose is hard to miss. The boy sneezed, then groaned. His enormous brown eyes watered. So what happened to you? What do you mean? I don't know. Most people don't run laps around their houses. Not like it's your business or anything, but somebody was in my house moving around my stuff. Really? His battered face perked up, as if he liked the idea of anonymous somebody's creeping around. Do you have any idea who it was? Lily picked at the strands of her hair tickling at her cheeks and stood up. I don't know who it was. All I know is there was someone looking in my window this morning, and somebody came in and stole some things. I thought I could catch him. How do you know it's a him? The guy said. Him, her, who cares? Lily puts her hands in her pocket and felt the house key. What if the person who had stolen it or had already made a copy? Despite the cold, Lily felt a trickle of sweat drift its way down to her stomach. I have to call my mother, she said absently. Okay, so where's your mother? At the store. Really? Around here? Which store? It was one of the... oh my, excuse me. It was one of the reasons Lily hadn't wanted to go to middle school. Too many dumb guys. Shouldn't you be in school or something? Shouldn't you be? For your information, I am in school, she said. She was glad he was still sitting on the ground so that she could tower over him. She glared at the guy, at the deserted street and sidewalk. She hated being afraid. He struggled to his feet. Is this your house? No. Whose house is it? My great-uncle's. So maybe it was your great-uncle in the house. He's not even in town. He's in Philadelphia. That's cool. The boy tilted his shaggy head and smiled through the smeared blood. You're new here, aren't you? Where are you from? Even with the broken nose and the blood and twigs decorating his dark hair, Lily could see how cute he was, and for some reason it irked her even more. She folded her arms across her chest. You don't want to know where I'm from. He rolled his eyes. Okay, he said, struggling the sound out. Maybe I don't. He lifted his hand, which was smeared with blood. Look, do you think maybe you have a couple of tissues you can give me, or some paper towels or something? I don't think we have any tissues, said Lily. Or paper towels. Yeah, alright, I get the hint. I'm leaving, he said. I guess I'll see you around. Or not. She watched him turn and stumble away. The back of his jacket was covered with grass stains and black streaks of dirt. She hoped that the stains were from his fight with this karate kid. But worried that they weren't. What if he asked her to pay for the cleaning? What if he needed a whole new coat? Wait, she said. He raised his arms without turning around, like a man flagging a taxi. Don't worry about it. No, she said. Wait. He stopped. She pulled the ratty sweatshirt over her head, careful not to take off her t-shirt with it, and held the raggedy thing out to him. Here, she said. It's better than a paper towel. She crossed her bare arms, hugging herself against the bracing wind. He looked at the shirt and then at her. I can't take your shirt. I'll get crud all over it, and you'll turn into a popsicle. It's old. I was gonna throw it out anyway, she said. Take it. I'm fine. Are you sure? I'm sure. She thrust the sweatshirt at him. Thanks, he said. She watched him press the sweatshirt to his ruined nose, which did look pretty mangled. I'm sorry I ran into you, she said. He shrugged. Yeah, well, I guess if I had some freak lurking around my house, I'd start running around too. He paused. Are you sure you saw somebody in your window? Maybe it was a bird or something. Yes, I'm sure, she said. I don't go around seeing things. Peace, okay? I was just asking. Besides, Lily said, whoever it was took all my school books. Why would anyone want to take your school books? How should I know? Are you sure you didn't move them or put them somewhere? I think I would have remembered moving my books, Lily said, exasperated. The boy raised a single eyebrow. Lily decided that he was an idiot. Well, I hope you can find a doctor to fix your nose. Good luck finding your burglar or intruder, whoever. The guy smiled with half. Wow, words are hard today. The guy smiled with half his mouth. But if you find him, why don't you send him to my house? Tell him he can have my school books. Lily whipped around and marched towards the house, where her foot caught on something and she went sprawling onto the cold, hard ground. Are you all right? The guide said, clearly fighting a laughing fit. He held out his hands to help her up. She eyed him with suspicion. Your shoelace, he said, pointing to one of her sneakers. Mom always says it's dangerous. Face burning, she quickly nodded the untied lace. I'm fine, she said, ignoring his hand and jumping up to her feet. You don't look. I'm fine. I'm fine. She cut him off, turned and raced up the porch stairs. She opened the front door and slammed it shut as hard as she could. Once inside, however, the fear hit her again like a bad smell. She rubbed her face, then her bare arms with her hands, suddenly colder than she had been outside. Who had called the house? Was it the same person who stole the books? How could somebody have gotten in the house to get the key in the first place? The person could have been right there in the room with her. But who could he be? Where could he be? Eyes wide, she kept as still as she could and listened for any sounds in the house. And there it was, but different this time. Faster, bolder, coming from the parlor. Lily almost ran back outside to get the guy with her shirt up his nose. But she thought of his one raised eyebrow, the blood looked like war paint on his cheeks, and steeled herself. She peeked into the parlor and found Juliet perched on the arm of one of the big stiff chairs, slacking the pull chain of a lamp against the wooden base. Julep! She yelled, then groaned. Now who's the fig brain? The cat mewed and kept slacking, her eyes round O's of kitty glee. Glad to see someone's making herself at home. Lily rubbed her forehead with her hand, then knocked on it as if to pound in some sense. Maybe Broken Nose Boy was right. She must have forgotten about moving the books. She must have brought them upstairs or something. It was possible. More possible than anyone wanted to steal them. Still knocking on her forehead, she walked up the stairs. Once the landing, however, she paused. Instead of the usual warm, lemony minty scent that normally permeated the house, there was another scent, faint and sooty, like burnt toast. She followed her nose to a staircase partially hidden above the main staircase. A white door with a shiny knob, like an eye, perched at the top. The attic. She climbed the staircase and tried the knob, but it wouldn't budge, no matter how hard she tugged. Pressing her eye to the keyhole, she tried to see inside, but the opening was too small. The city smell was gone, if it had even been there at all. Lily stomped back down the stairs. Oh my. Lily stomped back down the stairs. Well, Lily, what's your hypothesis? The Cupid cooked up some toast for a snack. A book-swiping burglar decided to light himself a campfire in your attic? Yeah, right. Old houses made a lot of noise. Old houses smelled bad. Old houses were weird. She'd have to get used to it. To all of it. She threw open the door to her bedroom. Piled neatly on the low table next to her bed, Lily found her books. Lily also found the Cupid doll, with his sweet baby eyes and pink crescent grin, sitting on the bed, arms up, waiting. Jack, hi! Hi, welcome. Glad you can make it, friend. How are you doing today? We are reading a new story today. In case you guys are wondering, the story is now called Lily's Ghost. Lily's Ghost by Laura Ruby. I hope you guys are enjoying it so far. I have to take a sip of tea. My throat is getting a little dry. One downside, though, I will say about winter is that when the air gets cold and then you start having, your heating system's working, the air gets very dry, and that is not great for a person's throat. Unfortunately, I suffer from dry throat syndrome every winter. I need to get myself a humidifier at some point. I keep meaning to every season, but hope you're doing well. I'm not doing so great. I'm sorry, Jack. I hope you feel better. I hope you feel better. Thank you for popping in stream. I hope you feel better, friend. Please take care of yourself, okay? We love you here, alright? You take good care of yourself. And I hope everything works out. I hope everything's okay. Okay? Alright. Oh, I forgot what I was saying mid-sentence because I saw Jack's message. I'm sorry. Yes, I need to invest in a humidifier. I tell myself I was going to do that every season. Every season I'll be like, I'm going to get a humidifier this year. I won't suffer from my poor sinuses and throat getting all dry and gross. But every season I end up forgetting to do so until it's too late. So I'm just like, oh well. Never mind then, I guess. Yeah. Miss you too, Jack. We miss you here. I'm so happy to be able to see you. We miss you here. I hope you can stop by more often. Alright, but like I said, make sure to take good care of yourself. Oh no, don't you dare. Don't you dare feel sorry for being sad. Absolutely not. If you're sad, be sad, okay? And we'll be right here with you we'll be right here with you whether you're feeling sad, happy, or whatever, okay? Alright, you never have to apologize for feeling your feelings, okay? If you're going through a sad time right now, then it's okay to be sad. Let your feelings out. It's okay. Alright? We love you here. We're here to support you, okay? Don't you dare apologize for your feelings. Alright? I just hope that your sad time doesn't last forever, okay? Sad times don't last forever. They just feel bad now. But they'll go away, okay? And things will get better. Alright? So make sure you just take care of yourself. Be gentle with yourself, alright? Okay? Be gentle with yourself. I completely understand what it's like to feel... I understand how it's like to go through periods of sadness and stuff like that. Alright, so don't you feel sorry for that one bit. If you feel like I'm not doing much of my part, listen. You became my Mega Floofle because you were always here. Alright, and you're always gonna be the Mega Floofle whether you're here or not. Okay, you're a part of our Floofle family. Alright, that you're always gonna be a part of our Floofle family. Okay, whether you're here all the time or here once in a while, that doesn't change. Okay. All you ever have to do as a Mega Floofle is be loving and kind and caring. Okay? That's all you ever have to do to be a Mega Floofle. You never had to do anything. You never had to do anything much. You never disappoint my expectations, Jack, because you are a kind and lovely, wonderful person. And you're always, no matter whether you're a happy, sunshiny person or a little rainy storm cloud person, you're always you're always a wonderful and amazing Mega Floofle. And you've always been wonderful and amazing. You don't dare beat yourself up, okay? You're lovely and wonderful. You are lovely and wonderful, and we love you here, okay? How have you been? I've been okay. I took a break last week due to some personal family stuff. I talked about it yesterday on my yesterday stream. My health is fine. I've been due to the cold weather, my back and my joints have been a little sore and stiff, so I've been dealing with that. Otherwise, I've been perfectly fine. You have been away for long, but I want you to take good care of yourself first and foremost. I'm always gonna be here. I don't plan on stopping streaming anytime soon. I don't plan on stopping this anytime soon. I love doing this too much, so I'm always gonna be here. I'm gonna be here for a long, long time. It's alright. So I don't want you to worry about catching my streams, okay? I want you to take good care of yourself first and foremost. But yeah, it's been a little while. I've been doing alright. I can't complain. Can't complain. Like I said, going through a bit of a rough patch right now for personal reasons, but it's alright. I'm alright. Taking a quick short break. Taking a short break from the story because I do in fact want to catch up. So I haven't seen you in some time. But we're starting a new story today. It's called Lily's Ghosts. It's one of my childhood favorites. It's like horror for kids kind of story. It's not really super scary, but it's definitely a kid's story, but it's fun. I just don't want to miss out anymore. Don't you worry about it. My VODs are always going to be up, so if you miss out, you always have a chance to catch up. You already know my streaming time is always consistent unless I announce otherwise. So, you don't have to worry about missing out. You know when I start, you know when I end. I'll always be here when you have the chance to catch the stream. And if you can't, you can always look at the VODs. That also helps me out a lot too. It's having my VODs get some views. So, if you ever need to catch up, don't be afraid to catch up in the VODs. Alright, so don't you worry about missing out. I promise you're never going to miss much. You know how my streams usually go. They're either silly, goofy, or really scuffed. You're going to be fine. You're fine. Alright, so let's get back into it. Let's get back into the story. Okay? You just relax, Jack, and just enjoy the story, okay? The Good Fortune Shop. Cape May's outdoor mall with a cheerful strip of ice cream, t-shirt, jewelry, and souvenir shops lining a brick pedestrian walkway. In the summer, the walkway teemed with children slurping ice cream cones, teenagers elbowing and jostling one another, and parents in ill-fitting Bermuda shorts buying hermit crabs and other vacation necessities. But now it was January, and many of the mall's stores were shut tight for the winter, except for Madame Durkin's Good Fortune's shop. Though it was popular with tourists and townies alike, the town's officials weren't too fond of the shop, and had twice held referendums to have it closed down. Some for religious reasons, most for reasons of taste. The Good Fortune shop, stocked with tarot card decks, candles, astrology charts, incense, dream interpretation books, spell manuals, and a large selection of moon-embroidered satin cloaks, was open year-round to anyone looking for a way to tell the future. And if you weren't interested in learning to tell your own future, for $25, Madame Durkin would do it for you. Madame Durkin, whose real name was Maple Ann Spats, was an uncommonly tall and gaunt with diaphanous gray hair like a dandelion fluff. She read palms and tarot cards, and occasionally foreheads. She also claimed to be able to see and speak to the dead. Madame Durkin enjoyed her work. "Let me see," she might say as she traced a crease in her palm, her forehead equally creased in concentration. "You will have a long life, a long, long life, and much financial success, but," she would say, raising an eyebrow so high that it was swallowed up by her fluffy gray hair. "You are unlucky in love." She would cluck her tongue in sympathy, stretching the skin on the palm, tipping the hand towards its unsuspecting owner. "See this little break? Right here? This is a divorce." The sad truth was that Madame Durkin could tell the future about as well as the weathermen, that is to say, not very well at all, and the deceased wouldn't talk to her if she was the last person on earth, living or dead. Madame Durkin's current customer, her only customer, on this chilly... my goodness. Excuse me. "You're awesome, Kay?" "No, I'm not awesome. I'm just a person. I'm not awesome. You're awesome. You're the awesome one." What was I saying? Let's see. Madame Durkin's current customer, her only customer, on this chilly January morning was poor Mrs. Wilma Hines, who was hoping to speak to her husband again. She couldn't find the checkbook, and the heating bill was needed to be paid. She was sure Mr. Hines, dead for some 14 years, would know where it had gotten to. Madame Durkin led the shuffling Mrs. Hines through a doorway covered with heavy red velvet curtains into a tiny makeshift room where she did all of her readings. She yearned for the heat of July and August that thrust the bubble-brained young women into the shop, aching and desperate for some bit of news about rocky-headed young men. She loved laying out the tarot cards one by one, her frown deepening with each card. She loved taking the young girl's hand into her own skeletal ones, watching as the girl's excitement wilted like a fresh hairdo in the heat, when she said, "You're in some trouble, dear. This boy is up to no good." But $25 was $25, and Madame Durkin wasn't going to turn away money, especially in the winter with business so thin. She sat Mrs. Hines in the folding chair across the glitter-strewn table and took her place in the big armchair against the wall. "Now, Wilma, you remember what you need to do, don't you?" "Oh, yes." Wilma hefted a purse the size of a sewing machine onto the table. "I must close my eyes and concentrate." Madame Durkin reached across the table, plucked up the purse, and set it onto the floor. "Not on the table, dear. The spirits don't like clutter." "Oh, my, I'm sorry," said Mrs. Hines, glancing around. She gazed at the ceiling. "I'm sorry." "It's quite all right, Wilma." Madame Durkin placed a large candle shaped like a bat in the middle of the table and lit it. "Why don't we get started? Now, what did you want? What did you... No, you do what you do... Ugh, my God, the sentence structuring. Now, you do what you did the last time. Put your hands flat on the table and concentrate very hard on Mr. Hines. We'll see if we can't get your husband to join us for a little visit." Mrs. Hines giggled at the idea of her dear husband joining them for a little visit. She put her palms flat on the table and closed her eyes. Madame Durkin intoned, "Spirits of the dead, can you hear us? We beseech you. We are calling Harold Hines. Harold, your dear wife needs to speak with you. Harold, come to us now." Mrs. Hines shivered in anticipation, and Madame Durkin stifled a yawn. She quietly stood up from her chair and drifted to the window, which was completely covered with black and gold draperies. Nudging the draperies aside, she risked a peek to the brick walkway outside. A blonde woman wearing an orange cloak and a funky patchwork skirt was standing at the door of the Something Fishy gift shop across the street, muttering to herself as she patted her pockets. "Harold, we beseech you!" barked Madame Durkin, as she wondered who the woman might be, and where she might have gotten that snazzy cloak. Philadelphia? New York City? She was so busy thinking about the cloak, how many she would order, and how much she could charge for them, that she almost didn't see the tall boy loping like some sort of ostrich behind this woman. Even then, as Madame Durkin, oh my God. My speech impediment is in full blood today. Hello, hi. And even then, as Madame Durkin took in his peculiar clothes, bluish skin, and queer shine of his eyes, it was a moment before she registered that she could not only see through him, not only could she see the boy, she could see through the boy, and that he had seen her too. The spirit boy grinned right at Maple and Spats, and held out his cloudy hands as each one burst into flames. Chapter 4. "I'm telling you, Mom, someone was in the house. I heard them." "Lily, I'm sorry. I just don't believe that anyone would break into the house to move your books around." Her mother hung her orange cloak on a coat tree. What do you think about pancakes for lunch?" "We had those for dinner last night," said Lily, "and breakfast this morning." She followed her mother down the hallway into the kitchen. "So what about the doll? How did the doll get from the basement to my bed?" "Are you sure that you did it?" Lily stamped her foot, feeling like a baby as she did it, but unable to stop herself. "Why does everyone think I did it?" "Who's everyone?" Her mother pulled the elastic from her hair, then fluffed the blonde curl to her fingers. "And anyway, people forget things all the time. When I used to drive to work, sometimes I couldn't remember a single thing that happened along the way. It was like when I had arrived to work in a blink. That's not what happened. I didn't move my books. I didn't bring the doll up from the basement. And I didn't forget." "What about Julep?" "You think Julep took my math books?" No, I think you took your math books upstairs and forgot you did it, just like you forgot the key on the table. Her mother pulled the ham from the drawer into the fridge. Um, Her mother pulled the ham from the drawer in the fridge along with an old tattered book. And I guess the thief must have stashed this in the cheese drawer just to be safe. She smiled at Lily as she tossed the book to the counter. The Standard Guide to Rare Coins? Not your usual fare. Lily stared at the book. I don't know how that got in there. Uh-huh, said her mother, unwrapping the ham. Maybe the guy put that in there. Lily's mother waved her hands, bracelets jingling. Oh, it was probably in there before and we didn't notice it. Uncle Wes is old. He probably has all kinds of funky stuff all over the place. Lily nudged the book with a finger. What about the doll? What about it? How did the doll get upstairs? Julep. What? How? Don't you remember? Her mother opened the bag of white bread, removing 4 slices. She used to pull your socks from the drawers and hide them under your She used to... Remember? She used to pull... Wait. Don't you remember? Her mother opened the bag of white bread, removing 4 slices. She used to pull your socks from the drawers and hide them under your couch. It's not the same, said Lily. And what about the time she stole your teddy bear? We were looking all over the house for it. And then she trotted by with it hanging from her mouth. Could she have done the same to the doll? And then she arranged it on my bed? Lily's mother slapped some ham onto the bread. Look, Lily, I don't know how she did it, but I don't see any other explanation. She topped the sandwiches with a second slice of bread. I know you're angry with me. Lily pulled out one of the kitchen chairs and sat at the table. That's not it either. Hi, Rowan. Thank you for being here. I'm glad you made it. I know you didn't want to leave Montclair, and I know you didn't like the house much. And I know you don't like the house much. Maybe you hate the house. Maybe you even hate me. But that doesn't mean that there are crazy burglars running around. Besides, we have to make the best of it, all right? Her mother put the plates on the table. Now, will you look at this service? What other kids has it so good, huh? Her mother ate her ham sandwich while Lily ripped hers into a lot of little pieces, rolling them into balls before popping them into her mouth. It's a stupid doll, Lily said finally. Her mother looked hurt. It was my mother's, and before that it belonged to my grandmother. Lily... Excuse me. Lily wasn't moved. It's stupid and ugly. So maybe we should throw it in the closet with Uncle Max. Maybe we should make Julep do it. Her mother didn't answer. Lily rolled a ham and bread ball between her thumb and index finger. She remembered the phone call. Somebody called too. Somebody who knew my name. Tell me that's not weird. Her mother put down the remains of her sandwich. Oh, Lily. That was Uncle Wes. He called the store and wanted to know why you hung up on him. I told him that he must have misdialed. He just wanted to know how you were settling in. Oh, said Lily, feeling like a bigger fig brain than ever. What did you say? I told him that we were fine, Lily's mother sighed. We only spoke for a few minutes. He just wipes me out. What do you mean? For a minute, Lily thought that her mother wouldn't answer the question. But then she said, like I told you, he's a strange old guy. I suppose I should feel sorry for him. He lost his father, then his brother Max, and then his mother, all in a short time. And my mom, his sister, just a few years ago still. Just a few years ago. Still. Still? Oh, this is old news, said her mother, shrugging. Old news is rarely ever good news. Let's just talk about something else. Oh! Apologies for not being here. I was at death settled. Anyone whose name is Wes is strange. I cannot disagree. How was your rehearsal? I hope it was fun. I always wanted to learn how to dance. I never did. To this day, I still can't dance. You know, people, you can't take me to a club unless you're ready to be severely embarrassed by my horrendous dance moves, because I will dance really strangely. And if I'm drunk, even more so. So, can't take me nowhere. Let's see. Lily knew by her mother's shrug that she would say no more about Uncle Wes. How was work? Work was work, Arden said, getting up and bringing the dishes to the sink. I didn't have much with me. A few stones, a bit of silver. Liz's mother dropped her head, as if sizing up her feet. Did you make anything? Some things. I was a little distracted. Her mother's eyes were glassy, and Lily was afraid that she might start crying. Lily didn't think she could stand it if her mother started crying again. It made Lily feel helpless, then angry. What had her mother thought? That they would live with the computer geek happily ever after? Lily's mother didn't cry. She turned on the water, rinsed off the gold-rimmed plate, and set it next to the sink. But then, what's done is done. It's much more fun to think about what's next, right? Right. My mother wiped her eyes. Something funny did happen, though. What? Just as I was about to lock up something fishy, this crazy woman comes running out of the shop across the street, screaming and waving. Her mother pantomimed, pinwheeling her arms. She looked like she was a giant dandelion with limbs. What was she screaming about? I don't know. Something about a boy who was on fire. What's with that? I have no idea. I didn't have a chance to ask her either. She ran right back into her store. I could see her peeking out at me through the curtains. It was the weirdest thing. She gestured to Lily's plate. If you're done playing with your food, maybe you want to go out and take a walk or something. It's not that cold. Mom, come on, Lily, give it a chance. For me, it's a great little town. Who knows? Maybe you'll run into somebody interesting. Yes. Yeah, it was fun. We were learning choreography for the fest. Oh, neat. My friends. Oh, nice. That sounds like fun. I don't know anything about what you're talking about, but that sounds like fun. I don't know all these fancy dance terminologies. But I it still sounds like fun. You can tell I don't know very much about a lot of things. It's just like a cross step going in a box shape. Still don't know what that is, but you know what? Again, it sounds fun. Let's see. Oh my goodness, I am so stiff today. I have to keep stretching. It's so cold. So cold. It's still like it's now like rain. It's like it snowed last night on my end, so now I'm just dealing with a kind of weird rain-snow mixed thing happening. So it's still pretty cold. Yes. Okay, let's get back into it. This girl's 3.144. Oh, okay. I get it. Alright. Lily tucked her hands into her pockets and breathed deeply, inhaling the scouring cold, the sea salt, amazed that the ocean was so close. The smell of it was everywhere. She headed for it, passing candy-colored Victorian homes festooned with gingerbread trim, trying to imagine what the streets would be like at the height of the summer season, packed with oily bodies in shorts and bathing suits. Little kids sticky with sand and cotton candy. Lily crossed Beach Drive, climbed up the steps to the promenade, a wide sidewalk snaking along the shore, and sat on one of the benches looking out over the sea. It was way too cold for beachgoers. Too cold for the gulls, even. The sand looked clean and white and soft, and Lily couldn't resist it. She picked a dry spot near the gray sand marked by the tide and sat, watching as the surf came up and licked at her toes. She pulled off her knit gloves and scooped up some sand in her palm, using a shell to dig up more sand and form it until she had the shape of something. a house. Packing the icy sand tightly with her numb fingers, she flattened rooftops, carved windows and a door with a small twig, erasing her mistakes with droplets of water. The wind whipped her long hair out from her head like a sail, and she shook it away so that she could see. A lone man in a dark coat and brimmed hat stood as still as a statue on the promenade. She squinted, but could not make out his face beneath the hat. Her skin, already raw from the cold, rippled on her arms as the man continued to stare. What could he be staring at? Who could he be looking at? She glanced around, but there was nobody else on the beach. The sea was gray and boatless, the sky a dull shade of blue. Maybe he just likes beaches, she told herself. Maybe he just likes the ocean. Maybe he was the man who had been in her house. Lily shook her head. Forget the man, forget the Cupid doll, forget Montclair. Adding windows and a front walk to the house. It was a while before she dared to look up again. Where the man once stood, there was a blonde-haired girl wrestling with a dark-haired boy, both of them giggling madly. The sound made her limbs go quivery with loneliness. Even though she was far from the promenade, she could tell one of the wrestlers was Broken-Nosed Boy. She turned away quickly, grabbing handfuls of her own hair and shoving it down the back of her coat so that he wouldn't see it. See her building a sandcastle like some dopey little kid. But she didn't care how stupid it was. It was a good house. The best. She looked then at what she had built and saw that one of the levels, the smaller one, had caved in. She must have knocked it with her elbow or her foot when she turned away from the pretty boy. She must have ruined everything. Why can't you ever watch what you're doing? You just wrecked that little girl's sandcastle, said the woman, the floppy flowers on her bathing cap ruffled by some strange wind. What do you want me to do? I tripped, okay? That creep with the feathered hat was digging a darned hole again. Somebody ought to do something about him. But the woman simply glared at her husband. Why did you apologize to the girl instead of standing there like a fool? All right, the old man said. Keep your shirt on. He turned to the girl. Sorry about your castle there, little girl. My eyes aren't too good anymore. Oh dear, now she's upset, said the woman. Do something. Oh, what do you want me to do? The man bellowed. Mix some cement? Buy her a soda or a pretzel or something. The concession stand isn't open yet. Oh dear. She'll get over it, said the man. Kids always do. Pink. Lola lolled like the Cheshire Cat on top of the kitchen table, plotting glorious plots, scheming delicious schemes. Now that she moved into the old Victorian, looking around, got comfy, she saw that things were so much more unfair than she first thought. Totally, absolutely unfair. Steffi was rich. Maybe her dad was a science geek too, and they had invented some scientific thingamajiggy that made $1 trillion. The house was huge and filled with all kinds of ugly but mondo expensive stuff. Steffi the geek got to star in damned Yankees, and then come home to eat caviar off of 300-year-old old china plates, and drink champagne out of flutes, hand-blown from French kings. Not that Lola had seen Steffi or her mother ever eating caviar. They ate a lot of pancakes, the cheese balls, but she was totally sure they could afford it if they wanted. That was not right. And then there was that guy, the totally hot guy. Lola hadn't gotten a good look at him until he was right in front of her. But even with the smush, oh god, this is a speech nightmare for me. Hold on. Smushed schnoz and the blood, she practically fell into the soulful eyes. Lola figured a babe like that wouldn't ever dig a loser like Steffi. He'd dig someone like Lola. And he would have to be totally into Lola. She was sure of it. If he had just been able to see her. She had sung at the top of her lungs. She posed at the top of the stairs, performed a kicky, Fozzie-inspired dance number on the porch, Well, of course he hadn't noticed any of it. Being dead was the pits. She was so mad that she had to trip Steffi just to make the day worth living. Living. Lola rolled over onto her back, gnashing her teeth at the little Siamese that seemed to be frowning at her from the windowsill. Cats were so judgmental. Shoo, she said. Why don't you go bother one of the others? It's not like the only ghost around here. The human candle, for example. Something totally wrong with that guy. Creeped her out. The cat gave a stern little mew of disapproval, jumped down from the sill and sauntered off, tail in the air. Lola bet it wouldn't act so snotty if she spray-painted it pink. Pink, she thought. That was the ticket. A little makeover, a little drama. A little color in a dead gray world. She had done it before. Like on the other girl who Lola was positive was Steffi, but turned out to be some bank teller or whatever. So many people looked and acted exactly like Steffi. Dozens, literally. Lola was amazed. The weirdest one was that 44-year-old mother of two. Lola was still a tad embarrassed about that mistake. She hoped the woman's eyebrows were growing in okay. She jumped down from the table and did a foxy little shimmy and a couple of high kicks before hopping down the steps into the basement. Just what I was looking for, she said. Wait. Just what I was looking for, she said. Mr. Washer and Mr. Dryer. She opened the washer. White! How very convenient. Oops, she said, scooping a bright red sweater from the laundry basket and dropping it into the washer. After adding half a bottle of dish soap, she pulled the nozzle to start the wash, doing a hula to the slushy sound of the water. Lola wiggled and Lola sang, imagining the red dye seeping out of the sweater onto the rest of the white clothes. A little pink goes a long way, she thought. She wondered how far a lot of pink would go. Human candle. Right. Chapter 5. As she had promised, Lily's mother tossed a Cupid into the closet with Uncle Max. So Julep can't play any more of her little tricks. Lily spent the next couple of weeks doing algebra and struggling with literature, all the while keeping an eye on the window and the doors. Except for the crank phone calls, no one in the town seems to be interested in spying on them, or even finding out who they are. Still, Lily was bored and uneasy. When she got too bored and too uneasy, she went down to the beach and carved little worlds out of the frigid sand. Lily sat at the dining room table, trying to make sense of the book she had to read, The Old Man and the Sea, while Julep rolled a pen around on the floor. There weren't many books Lily liked. They all seemed so unreal, the people saying such perfect things. Who says perfect things all the time? Her mother had tried to explain it to her. Books aren't life. They're better. They distill life. Books are life with all the boring parts cut out. Her mother had made up essay questions, which Lily thought was a terrible thing to do to your own kid. In her opinion, Hemingway had cut none of the boring parts out of The Old Man and the Sea. The entire thing was a giant snore. Some guy goes fishing. He catches a big fish. He tows it to shore, but a shark eats it before he gets there. What was that supposed to mean? She gave up on the book and turned on the TV, and whipped through the channels, the dialogue blurring into one long, babbling sentence. Oh, Aurelia, tell me you love... A doll like this could fetch thousands of from... People who have been searching New Jersey beaches for everything from quarters to pirate treasure to... Tell me you love me! Tell me you love me! Tell me you love me! The doorbell rang. It was a high, sweet chirping, like a bird. It didn't go with the house. Lily had expected a trumpeting sound, or maybe a gong. She scowled when she looked at the people and saw who it was, but she unlocked the door anyway and flung it open. What do you want? Broken-nosed boy blinked. Hello to you too. He held out her sweatshirt. I wanted to bring you this. I think I got all the blood out. Lily looked down at the sweatshirt, surprised. Thanks, she said. I didn't expect you to bring it back. I know, he said, smiling. Lily took the shirt. She wasn't sure what to make of this. She was worried that he had come to tease her about some sandcastles and ratty old clothes. My mom told me to soak it in water and hand soap with a little ammonia, he said. He gestured at the shirt she was wearing. Maybe it worked for that one too. Lily looked down at her once white shirt, now covered in huge pink blotches. It's not blood. A red sweater got mixed in with the whites. Everything I own is like this. It's my new look, okay? Oh, he said. Sorry. Well, thanks, she said. I started to close the door. Wait, he said. Look, I think we got off all wrong. I'm Vaz. He held out his hand. Lily had never shaken hands with anyone her own age. His was an ice cube. What's your name? He asked. Lily. Vaz nodded. That makes sense. What do you mean? You look like one, kind of. It might be the hair. Like a tiger lily. My mom plants those everywhere. She had no idea what to say, especially with him standing there smiling shyly, so focused in on his slanted nose instead. Even though she was still annoyed with him, she hoped that she wasn't the one who had slanted it. How's the nose? Sore, but it still works. He put his hands in his pocket and shivered. A breeze lifted a curl off his forehead where it stood like a question mark. Do you want to come in? Lily said reluctantly. It's kind of cold out there. Thanks, Vaz said and stepped inside. She shut the door behind him. I was just going to make some hot chocolate, she said, though she had just thought of it. You want some? Sure. He followed her down the hallway through the dining room and into the kitchen. She pulled out some instant hot chocolate, saw him gaping at the dining room and parlor before she turned to fill some mugs with water. I've never been inside one of these houses before, he said from the doorway. I didn't think it would be so fancy. It's not my house, remember? It's my great-uncle's. Still, what's it like living in this kind of place? You can't sit on any of the furniture, and the maids are always mouthing off. You have maids? He said. I was making a joke. She had no idea why, so she wasn't very funny. Lily heated the mugs of water in the microwave and stirred the mix into the water and brought the mugs to the dining room. He took off his coat and put it gingerly over the back of one of the dining room chairs. Is this all right? Well, I don't think your coat's gonna break it. Guess not, he said, and laughed, which pleased her despite herself. He looked down at the table. Are these your books? Yeah. No one stole them today, huh? He must have caught her scowl because he held up both hands. Hey, I'm kidding. He thumbed The Old Man in the Sea. I remember this book. It's a good book. He had surprised her again. First because he read books, and second because he had such a bad taste in them. I think it's a terrible book. Why? Some old fisherman catches a fish and the shark eats it. Who cares? Oh no, said Vaz. No, the guy's not just a fisherman. He's a hero. He battles against nature and wins. A bunch of sharks eat the fish. How is that winning? He caught the fish, didn't he? Yeah, so? He smiled at her with his big white teeth. You've never been fishing, have you? How did you guess? He took a sip from the hot chocolate. My dad was a fisherman. He tapped his own chest. I'm from a long line of Greek guys who make their living on the water. He used to say that we go all the way back to Odysseus. Who? Odysseus. From the Odyssey? It's this book about a guy who sails around for 20 years battling monsters and sorceresses, just trying to get home. I must have missed that one. Lily didn't add that when she did read something, she never remembered much about it later. All that made-up stuff, who cares about made-up people? Vaz put the book back on the table. The Old Man in the Sea is pretty cool. The sharks are cool anyway, Lily said. They sipped their hot chocolates, not saying anything for a few minutes. Lily sneaked looks at the boy. Even with the crooked nose, he was nice to look at. She wondered how she looked to him, if she really looked like a flower. She touched her hair, hoping that the bun on top of her head didn't resemble a nest thrown together by spastic birds. Lily racked her brain for something to say. So, you're Greek? Like born in Greece Greek? No, like born in South Jersey Greek. Actually, I'm only half. The big nose, the dark skin, half. My mom's Irish, with a bunch of other stuff thrown in. He put his hands around the mug. How come you don't go to school? My mom's homeschooling me. No way. Lily shrugged. Better than going to junior high. Junior high's not so bad. Yeah? What about your smashed nose? Oh, well, Vaz frowned. That's different. What happened? Nah, it's nothing. Stupid stuff. Hey, she's cute. Come here, kitty. Lily watched as Julep abandoned her pen and wandered over to Vaz for a scratch under the chin. A fight over some girl, Lily thought. Some cheerleader who looked like a Barbie, not a Lily. Like the blonde girl on the boardwalk. The phone rang. Lily ignored it. It rang again, and then a third time. Aren't you gonna get the phone? She shook her head. We get a lot of crank calls. Kids? Like, is your refrigerator running? You better go catch it. Not that kind of crank call. The kind where you pick up the phone and no one's there. That's weird. Want me to answer it? I can make my voice really deep. Sometimes it scares them off. Sure, if you want. Where's the phone? Lily pointed, and Vaz walked over to the ornate phone in the parlor. He picked up the receiver. Hello, he croaked, grinning at Lily. He listened for a moment, the smile dropping from his face. He hung up the phone, stood staring at it as if he thought he might get up and run away. He cleared his throat. I thought you said that the crank calls, that the cranks never say anything. They never did before. Well, he just said something. Lily put her mug on the table. What did he say? Vaz looked at her, brows furrowed. Hit the road, Odysseus. Chapter 6. Lily's mouth was so dry it felt like she swallowed a cup full of sand. Are you sure that's what he said? Hit the road, Odysseus? Yeah, I'm sure. I knew it! I knew someone was spying on me. I knew it! There must have been the same person I saw peeking at us through the window the day I met you. And the same person who moved my books. Maybe. But why would someone want to spy on you? I don't know. Vaz pulled his coat from the back of the chair. Come on, he said. Where are we going? Where are we going? We're going to take a look around outside. Maybe we can catch whoever it is. The gravel driveway crunched under their shoes as she and Vaz made their way around the side of the house to the backyard. The yard was large but not huge. There were only a few trees and hedges that a would-be spy could hide behind. Lily shivered and clutched her collar tighter. Maybe he's not spying from the outside. Maybe he's spying from another house. Maybe he has these binoculars or a telescope or something. How could he hear what we were saying then? Said Vaz. How would we know we were talking about Odysseus? Maybe he could read lips. Maybe he could read minds, Vaz said. Well, you tell me how it happened. Vaz ran his hands through his hair. Are you sure you can't think of any reason why someone would spy on you? There's nothing. What about your mom? What does she do? She's not a government agent. I'm serious, he says. She makes jewelry, okay? And it's weird jewelry. There aren't a lot of people all that interested in what she does. What about your dad? Lily stared. What about him? Where is he? He doesn't live here, Lily said. She wasn't about to explain. People understood dead. People understood divorce. They didn't understand gone. Okay, Vaz said. What about you? What about me? Why would someone want to spy on you? Maybe they weren't spying on me. Lily said. Maybe they're spying on you. Maybe you're some kind of teenage drug dealer. Maybe you fenced stolen silverware and TV sets. Maybe you're an alien and the government wants to dissect you. Never mind, Dad said. Sorry I asked. Neither of them moved until Lily decided that if she had to be scared and paranoid, then it was better that she was scared and paranoid and warm. They went back inside and sat at the kitchen table. Vaz kept his coat on, as if a coat could protect him from whoever was watching them. He drummed his fingers on the table. So, your uncle's letting you stay here, huh? What's he like? I don't know. I never met him. Lily tugged on a rope of her hair. At least, I don't remember ever meeting him. You never met your own uncle? It's my mom's uncle. Anyway, she hasn't seen him in years. She hasn't seen any of her family in years. Why not? Lily asked her mother that question hundreds of times. Because they don't approve of my choices, her mother had told her. Because they think money is the most important thing in the world. But money is not everything. And then she would talk about love and hope and art and dreams. People need dreams, said Lily's mother, or else they die. But then, the year Lily was 10, her mother's parents did die, one after the other, and Lily stopped asking questions. To Vaz, Lily said, We're here now. I guess whatever the reasons my mom had aren't as big a deal as she thought they were. Vaz unzipped his coat. So besides chasing creeps who break into your house, what do you like to do? Lily almost said, look at weird things under a microscope, but caught herself. She didn't have a microscope anymore. I don't know, regular stuff. Babysit. Sometimes I help my mom when she sells her jewelry at a show or whatever. That works. What do you like to do when you don't have to work? That work. That's work. What do you like to do when you don't have to work? Lily blinked. She mostly did things that My speech impediment is not being friendly with me today, you guys. I'm struggling. Lily blinked. She mostly did things she had to do, not like to do. I don't know. Let me guess. He leaned back and studied her. You paint. She hadn't painted anything in years, unless she was forced to in art class. No. He said. You're a dancer. One of those dancers who make like a tree or an egg. A modern dancer. He stood and assumed a tree position, a tree pose, arms extended like branches. She smiled. He was too goofy. No. You write things. Poetry about your twisted mind, your tortured adolescence. She giggled. No, she said. But she wished she had a twisted mind. It sounded kind of fun. No, you don't write poetry, or no, you don't write about your tortured adolescence. You know what I meant. He took off his coat and sat. You're a cheerleader. No. A band leader. No. A ringleader. A what? He grinned even wider. I know what you are. You're one of those girls who has like a zillion boyfriends in 18 different states, aren't you? No, she said, blushing furiously. Sure you are, he said. No wonder you don't have time to paint. She burst out laughing. Now it's your turn, he said. Guess what I like to do? I have no clue, she said. He looked at the kind of person who could do anything. Come on, guess. I don't know. Bake cakes? Close, I eat cakes. Guess again. She leaned back in her chair and looked him over the way he looked at her, hoping that she looked as cool and relaxed as he had. His hands looked about 4 sizes too big for his tall, skinny body. You play basketball, she said. Close, he said. I eat basketballs. She winced and laughed at the same time. You're really strange. Right, he said. Exactly right. How did you guess? She caught a glimpse of herself in the mirrored cabinet over Vaz's head. The open mouth grin, the flushed face, and mussed hair. Ugh, She looked like she just rolled out of bed after a long, muggy night, which embarrassed her so much that she left her feet. He gazed up at her. I guess I should be going anyway. Oh, sorry, I was just... No problem. He checked his watch. My mom will be wondering what happened to me. He put on his coat. As long as you're alright. What do you mean? The crank call, remember? Oh, she said. She had completely forgotten about it. It was only a phone call. Still pretty weird. Yeah. You try to sound flip, unconcerned. But my mom will be home soon. We'll figure something out. She walked him to the front door. Well, he said, it's been interesting. Yeah, she said, interesting. I'll see you around. She looked at her feet. Maybe. He grinned and walked out, taking the stairs in one leap. She shut the door behind him. All of a sudden the house was deadly quiet, and she felt soft and out of breath, like a balloon with a slow leak. As she hung up her coat, she thought about the phone call. Maybe Vaz hadn't heard right. Maybe it was just the wrong number. Not hit the road Odysseus, but is this the missus, or whatever. But just in case there was a real spy, Lily went around the house pulling down all the shades and closing all the curtains. With each window she got more annoyed with herself. More annoyed with Vaz. Now that he'd hung out with her once, talked to her, was nice to her, all she would think about was when he would come back. Uh-oh. You like him. You know what that means, don't you? Moodiness, loss of appetite, sniveling, makeup. I know, Lily said, frowning hard enough to hurt. I know. This story is so silly, goofy. It's a silly, goofy story. Just a couple of kids, some weird, spooky hauntings, possibly a stalker, who knows? Just a goofy, silly, fun time. But I'm gonna stop it here. I'm gonna pause it here because we're just about out of time. Not enough time to finish another chapter. But I'm having fun with this. We're about a quarter way through the book, according to my lovely little e-reader. And yeah, I think we can knock this out in a couple of streams. Be fun. A fun little quirky little read. I'm sorry, the way that this book is written is such a very simple sentence structure that threw me off. Like I've read the book before, but it's been such a long time since I read it. It's like I'm reading it for the first time again. And it was not very friendly to my speech impediment. I was struggling there just a little bit. But this is a great story. This is a great story. This is a fun little, quirky little story. And yeah, we can definitely continue it next week. I will not be streaming tomorrow, but Thursday we'll be doing some kind of weird miscellaneous stream I haven't figured out yet. Maybe an art stream. We haven't done that in a little while. Maybe an art stream. Maybe a watch along. Who knows? We'll figure out how the day looks for Thursday. But yeah, thank you all so much for hanging out with me. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you're enjoying the story. And yeah, I'm gonna head out. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, night, evening, afternoon, morning, whatever. And yeah. So remember, hug your friends, tell someone you love them, and be a force for good in the world. Because goodness knows, the world needs more goodness. I love you guys so very, 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 very much. You're all wonderful, amazing individuals, and you're just like the greatest people ever. And take good care of yourselves. And I'll see you guys on Thursday. Alright? Love you all so very, 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 very much. And bye!